An important summer story. New Zealand dermatologists are hailing a study out of Germany which they say proves melanoma screening could save lives. New Zealand has the highest per capita incidence of melanoma in the world, not just in beautiful young women either. The Ministry of Health has long said they don't see the benefit in screening, skin cancer screening, a cancer that costs us lives, obviously, and $57 million a year. Kate King reports.
Max, 17 years old. Jessica, 12. Kerry, 39 years young. And me, 24. On the surface, our skin looks, well, great, if I do say so myself, but it's what's lurking underneath, which could be an issue. Getting your photo taken under UV light is the Health Promotion Agency's latest attempt to ensure New Zealanders are aware of the dangers of the sun. In a moment, we'll show you the results.
She said I was doing all right with putting sunblock on, so pretty happy.
Have you ever had a mole check before?
No.
Nah, never.
As a darker skinned person, you feel like you're a bit more invincible. But yeah, she did encourage us still to put sunscreen on, and we're at.
New Zealand has the worst rate of melanoma skin cancer in the world. 2,000 people a year are diagnosed with it. Just over 300 die from it.
What we're seeing now is an explosion not only in melanoma but also non-melanoma skin cancers, squamous cell cancer and basal cell cancer.
Without calling it an epidemic, we've been gradually, going up pretty much every year. It is levelling off now, the incidence is levelling off, but the mortality stays the same.
The sun's ultraviolet rays are much more intense in New Zealand than in the northern hemisphere. Because the Earth's orbit means the southern hemisphere is closer to the sun during summer. That and the fact our air is cleaner, allowing even more UV through. And this is what that sun can do. The photos don't show if a person has skin cancer, but the dark patches indicate overexposure, the same type of UV which increases your risk of developing skin cancer.
On your ears.
Yep.
70-year-old Terry Goodall was brought up in that generation where sunscreen wasn't used all that often, and 64 years later he paid the price.
Remember it well. 5.5 years ago, and it was a shock. I think anyone getting a diagnosis which you weren't expecting is in for a shock.
A tiny spot, a melanoma on his back. But there was only one reason Terry was even at the appointment.
We saw the word free, love that word, in connection with skin check. And actually I was quite worried about my fair-skinned Celtic wife who'd had a big sunburn episode many years ago. And we thought, well, let's do this. The clinician said, that's fine, you can take your shirt off now. I said, well, I'm fine, we came for my wife. No, he said, you may as well while you're here, it's free. Oh, right. So that was when a little spot was found.
Each year in New Zealand, 67,000 skin lesions are treated. But the public system offers nothing in the way of checks. Privately, it can cost anywhere up to $250 for an appointment.
Yeah, I see it. Okay. How long do you think you've had that?
Even most insurance providers don't cover checkups, only picking up the costs after being diagnosed with a skin lesion.
Many people just can't afford that, so I think your suggestion of having ministry involvement in contributing to that cost, it may help, but I think the reality of that actually happening is unlikely.
The Ministry of Health has always said there is no evidence a national screening program would make a difference. But dermatologists hope that this document might be a step in the right direction. It's a paper out of Germany publishing the results of a decade-long study into the effectiveness of screening for skin cancer, the first of its type in the world. Over the period of a year, more than 360,000 people living in one area of Germany had a whole-body examination in order to later compare trends of melanoma mortality. And if you look at this graph, you can see the black lines indicate that in Schleswig-Holstein, where the pilot took place, mortality decreases, especially compared with other regions.
Even though only 20% of that population in that area was screened, the mortality from melanoma dropped. That is compelling evidence now that a screening process is efficient in reducing the mortality from melanoma. So it's time that really governments and health bodies in general re-looked at this.
The study was enough to convince the German government to screen for skin cancer, a country with a much lower incidence than New Zealand. Here, 25 to 30% of people who are high risk never present for a skin examination. With pale skin and red hair, I need regular checkups. My photo backs that up. But Terry, like many, had never thought melanoma would strike. Luckily, they caught it before it spread, proving how vital a skin check is.
Why me? I mean, I'm not necessarily going to be a victim. I think it was, I had no symptoms at all, and I'd been careful, sort of, so I didn't think there was any particular reason, but you know, going to that free check, well, it extended my life for sure.